We would like to say good evening to you. Thank you and welcome for participating in this forum. This is the county forum, and we've invited county candidates for Calhoun County. And this is sponsored by the Michigan Education Association Retired Teachers Association. So we have some of our retirees here. This was a busy evening, so we have some of our retirees, but we wanted to make sure we gave you the opportunity to present your platform and for us to meet you as well. We have Ms. Gloria Richards, who is a retired teacher. We have, of course, Ms. Hennon. Some of you might have had, if you went to school in Albion, you may remember Ms. Hennon, Mrs. Williams. Anyone else? Okay. Some others may come in, but you may be able to see some of your not older teachers, but your more former teachers. Right. Mrs. Reed, right. Lynn Reed is a retired educator, a retired teacher in the Albion community. What we're going to do, we're going to give each of you the opportunity to introduce yourself, to talk about your platform, to tell us what you want us to hear in terms of your priorities, and basically following the outline of the letter that we sent in terms of why do you want to serve another year, or why do you want to serve your term in the position, what are your two top priorities, and what are the two most important issues facing the Albion community and surrounding areas. As you're introducing yourself, we can go through and identify these concerns, and then we're going to open the floor up for questions from the audience. Mr. Cash is recording this evening, and this will be on cable channel.
AccessVision
in Battle Creek, and we have a microphone that we would like to kind of rotate to make sure you are heard clearly. Okay, so maybe we can start here, and you can introduce yourself, and we will proceed.
Thank you. My name is John Anthony LaPietra. I'm running for state representative in the 63rd district, which does not include where we are right now, either Albion Township, Albion, or Sheridan Township, but it does include neighboring townships, Marengo, Eckford, Clarendon, and Homer, as well as some other parts of southern, more rural, if you will, Calhoun County and eastern Kalamazoo County. I'm a candidate for the Green Party, and I'm running for this seat because of two documents, probably, I think. One was a study done last November by the Center for Public Integrity. It looked at the accountability and integrity of all 50 state governments. And Michigan finished dead last. There's a lot of reasons for that. I don't want to go into all of them now, but I think the core reason is that what we need is more grassroots democracy, government by the people. The other document is the state constitution. Article 1, Section 1 says, all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. I'm afraid that in today's Michigan, some people are more equal than others. I think that those who have been in power have been working to keep their power, sometimes against intrusion by the people. I want to work for more government and more government oversight by the people. I don't know how much more you would like to say if any of you have actually gotten to read any of the surveys yet. They will be in the recorder, I believe, coming up this next. Grassroots democracy is one of the primary values of the Green Party, and it is the core of my campaign. I want us to have more chances for voters to vote and be sure that their votes are counted. I want to be sure it's easier to hold those that we elect responsible and accountable. The state is one of the few that does not even have a law requiring disclosure of personal as well as campaign finances. That's one change among others that I would like to look into. I'd like to take some of the best practices from the other states in that study and apply them to Michigan's particular circumstances. That's not time limit, is it?
Well, we can use it as a time limit because we want to go around and make sure everybody.
Just one more thing. The other type priority would be to put social justice and sustainability, or focus on the future, as a major goal of our government. Thank you.
If the speakers would stand and help us see them.
Thank you. Sorry.
You can't hear them. They're saying they can't. Yes. Okay.
Hi. Can you hear me? This isn't really amplifying. This is mainly for the television recording, is it not? My name is Dr. John Bison. Many of you know me as your 62nd district representative to the state of Michigan. I've been a physician in town for 27 years now. I'm also a father, Air Force veteran, and past president of the State Medical Society. Because our time is limited, I'll get right to the point and talk about the issues that perhaps matter most to you. You should know that this year we are allocating a record amount to education, $14.1 billion. That is more dollars than we have ever spent before for education, and that doesn't include another 1.988, nearly $2 billion in addition going to the community colleges, some of which is going to filter down through the early and middle college programs back into the K-12 systems as well. At the same time, we are allocating over $1 billion in additional payments to MIPSers at the state level to make sure that the retirement program for teachers remains solvent, that the MIPSer system has been underfunded for a very long time. Many of the people throughout the state, many of the districts throughout the states did not contribute their fair share throughout the years. And when we looked at the MIPSer system in the past, it was some $45 billion underfunded. We are catching up on that, and we are hoping to make sure that that stays solvent, and I will help to ensure that your retirement pensions are safe. I'm very proud of the investments we are making in education closer to home. You'll see that in the past 2 years, I have brought home over $20 million to Calhoun County on both sides of this county. We strengthened education at Western Michigan University through its expansion of the Western Michigan University School of Aviation. We have strengthened our universities, our colleges at KCC with a $2.2 million grant to expand the RMTC. This is the Regional Manufacturing Training Center. That is an area that is expanding the job training for the future. I am very, very proud of our record-setting investment in education throughout these past 2 years. If you take a look at legislation, I co-sponsored the bill that allows retired teachers to go back into deserving classrooms when there aren't other teachers readily available and teach without the risk of losing their pension benefits while doing so. So we are going to have a win-win situation where the kids are going to have advantage of having a very experienced teacher and also allowing the teachers to go back, even though they are retired and want to continue working on their pension. I've worked hard to repeal the tax on senior pensions and will continue to do so. I'm one of the co-sponsors on that bill as well. I've always wanted to fix our broken healthcare systems, which is way too inefficient, way too expensive, and I think there are few people in this room who would argue that healthcare costs are personally affordable at this particular point in time, and we need to make that system much more affordable. At the very beginning of this race, Jim and I said that we were going to run a clean race, and we were not going to use the attack ads. We were going to talk about the issues. And I am disappointed in that he has decided to attack me using phony innuendos, false claims, smear ads, and he would always talk about what's going on in the state. And it was only more recently that I took a peek at why he might not be talking about his personal record over the past 5-6 months. He voted to increase his own pay, but voted against cost of living raises for all the county workers. And I would ask you, is that fair? He voted to cut jobs in the county, even though he was able to find a job in the treasurer's office for his ex-wife. He supports higher taxes on retailers and small business, but I would ask you, who pays those higher taxes? Do you think it's the businesses, or do you think they pass it through to the people who supply services and who buy from those institutions? And instead of talking about his own plans, he's trying to blame me for Enbridge 6 years ago when I was in my office and taking care of the people who had problems because of this bill, and one of us was the county commissioner. My dad was a union butcher. My mom voted Democratic for years. I'm here to tell you that you can vote for whomever you want to. And if you look closely at my record and what we had brought back, and what I have done already for the people of Calhoun County in 2 years, I think that you'll see that I've worked very hard to earn your vote this November 8th. Thank you very much.
Before you start, maybe what we can do, because this is going to take a lot of time, so maybe what we can do initially is go around and everyone just introduce themselves. I think mostly everyone responded to the questions in the newspaper, and there were many candidates from last year in the last week in the Albion Recorder, and hopefully we can get the remainder who did not get the information in by press time. So maybe what we'll do is go around and introduce yourself, what you're running for, and then we can open it up for questions and answers. We really don't want any kind of attacks or anything like that. So by just introducing yourself, talking about yourself, and then we can answer questions accordingly.
Well, Vivian, thank you. I think that genie's already out of the bottle, however, and obviously I've been scurrilously and wrongfully attacked by this otolaryngologist. So I hope I have the opportunity to respond to this later and point out some of the ways, for example, that he, in an unprecedented way in my experience, attacked his Republican primary opponent in 2014 in a racist flyer directed to tie that candidate to Julian Bond, the Honorable NAACP former president. I want to talk about a number of issues involving the state, but I want to tell you right now, my name is Jim Hodsma. I am a county commissioner, and I've served honorably for 8 years on the county board. I am a son of missionaries, educated overseas in Africa. I am a proud father with Betsy of 4 kids. I am a not-for-profit board member in numerous not-for-profits throughout our community. I am a lawyer times 32 years representing people principally in workers' disability compensation claims the last 29 plus years for McCroskey Law Offices. And I want to talk about my vision for Michigan and how I think it's so important to have a visionary in the 62nd District so we can do some things in relation to K-12 education, so we can do some things in relation to higher education, using the budget as an appropriate tool to prioritize those kinds of issues that aren't being done presently under the Republican one-party rule in Lansing. I look forward to the opportunity of responding to some of these other attacks, wrongful attacks, as we go through the evening. Thank you, Vivian.
Good evening, and forgive me, I have a terrible cold, so if I have to stop and breathe for a minute, that'll be all right too. I'm John Sims, and most of you out there already know me. I was born and raised in Albion, graduated from Albion High School, went to the University of Michigan and Wayne State University Law School. I worked down the road here at Tomac Woods since I was 12 years old and worked my way through high school, college, and law school doing that. I was married at age 18 to my high school sweetheart. When I graduated from college and law school, I had 3 children by then, so I know what it's like to raise a family under difficult times. I am an attorney, and I have been practicing in this county. I started practicing with Wilcox and Robinson here in Albion in 1976 as their clerk, and then practiced law with them from 1977 until the year 2000. Well, actually, in 1993, I think it was, Joe Wilcox left and became a judge on the Appellate Commission in the Workers' Compensation Agency, and it became Robinson and Sims. In 2000, I left and went to Marshall because that's where my house was at that point in time, and I have practiced out of Marshall since 2000. I have done every kind of law you can imagine. I have represented people like you my entire career in everything from criminal law to civil law to administrative law, from personal injury work to workers' compensation to criminal conspiracies in federal court all across this country. I have represented you, the citizens of the state of Michigan, in a infant formula price fixing class action that was nationwide in the 1990s, held before Judge Kingsley in our circuit court here in Calhoun County and across this country. I have the most experience. I am the most qualified person running for this office. I'll be glad to talk to you about anything you want to talk about later, but as you can tell, my voice is starting to go, so and I'm having trouble breathing, so I'm going to pass this by and ask you to consider me later, and we'll talk then. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tina Yost, and I'm running to be your next circuit court judge. I am married to my husband, Gerald. He's a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, staff sergeant. I have 2 daughters, Ariana, who is 5, and Elena, who is 2. We currently reside in Battle Creek, but I have spent a lot of time in the Albion community. I started coming to the Albion community when I was a child. I had family members who lived here, and in 1991, I moved here and went to Albion College. Graduated from there, and I've been working and serving the Albion community ever since. I went to Wayne State University, and that's where I graduated law school. I then went into private practice, worked for Legal Services of South Central Michigan, served as a hearing officer referee for almost 11 and a half years, and presided over the exact cases that this position will preside over if I am elected judge. I have served in the prosecutor's office for the past 2 years, and there I was able to take the position from being ranked. Our division was 17th in the state when I started, and in under a year I was able to take it to 7th. The reason I'm running for this position is this circuit court position is dedicated, it's assigned to the family division. And I have dedicated my career to making a difference in the lives of families and children. I have over 20 years of litigation experience, and I'm certainly able to handle any case that would come before a circuit court judge. However, I have 15 years of specialized family law experience. Family law is custody, parenting time, abuse and neglect, juvenile delinquency, child support, divorce, anything that touches the heart of a family. And family law is different. Those of you who have been teachers know that you're not just working with little mini adults. Children are different. And I have worked with high-risk children and youth for almost 20 years. I served on the domestic gang violence program in Detroit, working with youth. I have worked with youth that have been in everything from minor offenses to criminal sexual conduct. And I've presided over those cases, and I've made a difference in those cases. I have many people that have come before me that will tell you that after appearing in front of me, they were able to change their lives. And one of those cases is the case of Rosetta Eldred. Rosetta was a methamphetamine addict whose house was raided, and she appeared in front of me. And the criminal system didn't do it for her. We got her into the proper services, made sure she got the help that she needed, and her autistic child, who most likely would have went into some type of residential facility because we didn't have families to take care of him, was able to return home to his mother because she said, I believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. Family law is different. You can't just say, well, I've dealt with a few kids. It's something you learn over time. It's like teaching. As you go along, you gain skills. And I haven't handled just 50 or 100 or even 500 of these cases. I've handled thousands of these cases, presiding over them, making the decisions, applying the court rules, and changing the lives of families. And I want to continue doing that as your next circuit court judge. So I hope you'll vote for me on November 8th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul Beardsley. I'm a judge of the 10th District Court in Battle Creek. As you may know, District Court in Battle Creek also includes trips to Albion and Marshall somewhat infrequently, and I feel I was commenting to Ms. Spicer this evening that I feel bad for people when I'm driving, say, south of Homer. You go a few miles south of Homer, and you get down to a place on M99 where it tells you you're entering into Hillsdale County, and Hillsdale County is the next county south of Calhoun, and you think, wow, those poor people, if they get stuck with any kind of infraction, are going to have to drive at least as far as Albion or Marshall, and most likely they have to go all the way to Battle Creek. So that's unfortunate. Do I have a solution for that problem? No, I don't. I'm not going to pander to you. I don't have a solution to that problem, but I understand the difficulty. I actually grew up in Spring Arbor, which is just, as you know, about 20 minutes away from here. I attended Spring Arbor College, then now university, went to law school at Wayne State University, and have lived for the past 25 years approximately in Marshall. My late wife and I raised two sons who are doing well. I was appointed to fill a vacancy on the 10th District Court that was created when Judge Hallisey was elevated to the Circuit Court. Judge Sint, who you know, recently retired. When Judge Sint retired, Judge Hallisey was promoted to take his position. That made an opening in the District Court, and I was appointed to that position. I enjoy the work. District Court handles, Jim and I were discussing this earlier, a lot of people don't even know what happens in District Court. District Court deals with misdemeanors, probable cause hearings in felony cases, and civil matters up to $25,000, including landlord-tenant cases and land contract forfeitures. That's what any District Court judge does. I feel privileged to be in the position that Judge Hallisey had created, which is the operation of the Sobriety Treatment Court. I enjoy that. That has the opportunity to be life-changing for some people in a good way. I don't want to take up all your time. Why don't you listen to Jim? Again, my name is Paul Beardsley. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jim Lance. I'm running for District Court. A little bit about me. I'm an attorney. I live and work in Battle Creek, Michigan. I moved to Battle Creek in about 2005. My story, of course, doesn't begin there. As you can see, I'm Vietnamese, and I actually was found abandoned on the road when I was about 2 months old in Vietnam by an American GI, and took me to a hospital. And fortunately for me, a family in Bay City, Michigan, wanted to adopt a kid, and they looked at me and said, "All right, he's our winner." So. So here I am, and I grew up in Bay City, Michigan, attended Michigan State University for undergraduate and law school. Upon graduating law school, I clerked at the Supreme Court, and then moved to Battle Creek and been in private practice ever since. The cases I typically do are generally heard in the district court, as well as the circuit court. I've been in courts all across the state, hearing all kinds of matters. I think I agree with Judge Beardsley here. Too many times, I think we're looking for punishment in the court systems, and now we have these new specialty courts like sobriety court. I think as a judge, we need to look at alternative solutions instead of just punishment. And those are some of the things that I'll be striving for. So thank you for your time, everyone. I appreciate it and look forward to some of your questions.
Good evening. I'm David Gilbert. I'm your Calhoun County prosecuting attorney. 4 years ago when I ran for this office, I ran because, well, I had a lot of different reasons. I've been an attorney since 1988. I've been an assistant prosecutor. I've been a chief assistant prosecutor. I have practiced law throughout the state. I've been in the UP, and I've been in courts on both lakes in the lower Michigan. I ran because I didn't like the way the office was being run. I didn't like the way plea bargaining was done. There were a lot of complaints with law enforcement. They were very unhappy with what was going on. You had officer-involved shootings that had not been decided, looked at by the prosecutor's office, and it was just a bad situation. So I ran. I won the election. When I was running, I said I was going to change plea bargaining. I changed plea bargaining. When I came into office, one of the important things was to require people to plead guilty as charged. Most of the people we have charged with felonies have been in trouble before. Most of them have actually been convicted of felonies before. So I think it's important to hold people responsible for what they do. The problem with that is there's more than just holding them responsible. The idea is to get them to stop doing what they've been doing. And the philosophy here is, well, the question you always have in your mind is, why do people break the law? And typically people break the law because they want to. Well, why do people want to? You look around in our community, whether it's in Battle Creek or in Albion, people want to break the law because they want to get drugs. Why do they want to get drugs? Because they're addicted to drugs. So in order to really help people, in order to break the cycle of crime, you really have to do something about drug abuse and drug use. And when we're talking about these alternative courts, they're very, very important to our legal process. But if you don't have enough of a hold over somebody, a drug court isn't going to help them. Holding people responsible, giving them a choice between drug court and possibly even prison, that'll actually give them incentive to actually go to drug court and actually help themselves. You asked what are the two important things going on right now? Well, it's crime and it's drugs, basically, and they're interactive. And when you look at crime, you're talking about domestic violence, you're talking about child abuse. A lot of these things revolve around drugs. A lot of our crime, 95% of our crime revolves around drugs. Once we do something about that, it'll be taken care of. As far as officer-involved shootings are concerned, you know, there was at least one of them who was over 2 years old when I was running for election. Since I was elected, officer-involved shooting cases, use of force issues with police officers are dealt with my office quickly. Everyone knows the outcome within days, weeks, certainly not months, certainly not years. There's only been one exception to that, and that was when I was assigned as a special prosecutor to Ingham County to actually review an officer-involved shooting in Lansing. And the only reason it took me 6 months to settle that case was because the police officers were all taking the fifth. So we had to work on that a little bit more. When I came into this office, I realized our budget was small, but we started an economics crime unit to help businesses with bad checks to recover the money for bad checks. It had once been in use in our office, but it had been taken out. We put that back into play, and now our office is actually going after bad check people that are writing checks to businesses. If you think about it, when a business takes a bad check, take a $100 bad check, how much do you have to make in order to make up that $100 loss? Typically about 10 times. Another thing we did was we started a cold case unit. We have a part-time investigator who handles cold cases. We're working with the City of Battle Creek and other police agencies on cold cases. We're also working, if you've been watching TV, with Olivet College. They've given us a class for 1 year, 10 students, 9 or 10 students for 1 year just to handle cold cases, to investigate cold cases in our county. When I first ran, I had a good relation with law enforcement. I was supported by law enforcement. I'm still supported by law enforcement. As far as the community is concerned, I think we need to work with our community. I work with the Boy Scouts of America. I'm chairman of the Nottawa Trails Boy Scouts district in this that takes up this county. And I've worked with other, I don't know how many boards and commissions I'm on, but I'm busy every day. It doesn't end after 8 hours. I've also been, in the last couple of years, I've received some awards. One award I received was from the Sexual Assault Services of Central Michigan for children, and I've also received an award from the NAACP. And I ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eusebio Solis, and I was born and raised here in Albion. I always say that, the upside about growing up in a small town is that everyone knows you. The downside is that everyone knows you. But I am glad to be back here among friends. So I have 8 children. Actually, I have 6 children. I have 8 grandchildren and 1 on the way, okay? And all my children were raised in the city of Albion. So I'm running for office. I'm running to be your next county prosecutor. You see, I've been a criminal attorney for 30 years. I began my career in private practice. I went to Cooley Law School. I went to Albion College here in Albion. And in those 30 years, I practiced criminal law. At first, I did a variety of others, but ultimately, my interest drew me back to criminal law. Okay, and 8 of those 30 years, I've served as chief assistant prosecutor in Calhoun County Prosecutor's Office, and so I know the workings of the office, and I know what goes on. I know every position in the office, and I've administered that office. And I was the person who assigned many of the cases to the various individuals depending on their talents and their abilities. I believe I have a balanced view of our criminal justice system because the other 22 years I served as a defense attorney. And so I can see both sides. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that there has been a continuous growing divide between the public and our criminal justice system. And a lot of that has to do with the way the public perceives our criminal justice system. And oftentimes, the prosecutor's office or the prosecutor himself has a pivotal role to play in that because that prosecutor has contact with citizens, it has contact with victims, law enforcement, other attorneys, judges, and I think it's absolutely critical on your perception or the perception of the prosecutor who's in office. Here's my perception. Yes, we do have a major drug problem in our county. I attended a substance abuse council program, and they had indicated that we had at least 10 deaths already this year from overdoses. You don't hear about that, but it's tragic. And the bulk of them start with prescription drugs. And you need to know, as a prosecutor, you need to know where the solution is going to come from. And it's not going to come from charging people, though you do have to hold them accountable. It's going to come from the legislature. Prosecutor has to work just as hard in the courts and outside the courts. And we have to work with our legislators to deal with the doctor-patient privilege. It is doctors who are overprescribing. Doctors who are at the root of this, mind you, perhaps starting off for good reasons, but that is where the cause is, and that is where we have to attack it. I am a trial attorney. I am in the courtroom because I believe it's important for the elected prosecutor to be in the courtroom. That is where you sharpen your skills as a prosecutor. That is where the healing process begins for many victims, and that is where you earn the respect of law enforcement and judges. My last year as chief assistant, I had 17 trials. That's more than one a month. 2 homicides, 10 capital offenses, that's life offenses, and 5 what we call lower level felonies. Ask anyone who does criminal work. That's a lot of trials. And in addition to that, I administered or help administer the office. I think it's my perspective that I have on the criminal justice system that's going to best serve our citizens, because I do not subscribe to the forcing people to plead as charged, because the circumstances that brings folks to the courts is not black and white, just like life is not black and white. To seek justice, you have to take each case individually, look at the circumstances, and make sure that the punishment fits the crime. I'm asking for your support November 8th to become your next prosecutor, because I believe I will best serve the citizens. Thank you. And before I turn the mic over to our sheriff, I just have a couple of words from Brad Palmer, who asked me to speak on his behalf. Brad is on the Lakeview School Board, currently in the process of a couple of sessions of training that was just imperative because they're seeking a new superintendent, and so he sends his apologies for not being able to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Eusebio. Good evening, and thank you, Vivian and the M.E.A. retired, for hosting this event tonight. I am Matt Saxton, your Calhoun County Sheriff, and I'll stick to the question asked to introduce yourself. I'm born and raised in Calhoun County. Grew up in Homer. My father, Fred Saxton, was my high school principal. My mother, Mary Jane, was my 8th grade English teacher. The last half of my life I've spent with my wife Heidi of 22 years and 3 teenage kids, 2 boys and a daughter, Logan, Landon, and Lauren. I'm proud to be a father. I love being a part of a family that we do stuff together. After graduating from high school in Homer, I went on to Lake Superior State University, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with a minor in corrections, with the thought of working at a sheriff's office, because we provide both law enforcement and corrections. And for the past 23 years, I have served happily at the sheriff's office, in the past 4 as your sheriff. I asked for your vote on November 8th to continue being your sheriff of Calhoun County. I have been busy throughout the county the last 4 years, meeting people, helping with solutions to issues. We as a community need to work together to solve a lot of these issues that we have. 80% of our inmates in the jail don't have a high school education. We need to work on that. Please read what I supplied to those answers. And again, I ask for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
I'm going to follow the sheriff since I'm sitting next to him. I'm Ann Norlander, your Calhoun County Clerk and Register of Deeds, and have been so for the last, I'm finishing up my 28th year. When I filed my paperwork to run again, I made it known to everyone that this would be my last term. I have not always been in politics, but I was a county commissioner for 4 years previous to being elected your clerk and register of deeds, finding out after I got into the political arena that my chances of beating a 24-year incumbent were 1%. And at the end of the evening, I won with 55% of the vote to become the first Republican and the first woman to ever be the county clerk and register of deeds. 4 generations of my family have called Calhoun County their home. I am a graduate of St. Philip High School. I am also a graduate of Michigan State University, cum laude, with a bachelor's degree in education. So it's a special treat for me to be here with the educators from the M.E.A, retired. Although I don't think we ever do retire, because my students still come into our office. And Chris Larson came in last month and picked me up off the ground and twirled me around and said I was the best teacher he ever had. So I felt good about that. I'm married to Calhoun County District Court Judge James Norlander, we call him Jim. He is also on the ballot, but he's unopposed, and as you can see, he's not here tonight. But I will put in a plug for him that he's a great man. We are the proud parents of our son Adam, who's married to Krista, and they live in Detroit. My son Adam is a principal attorney with Miller Canfield. We're extremely proud of him, and his wife is an OBGYN. Our daughter Jane lives in Carmel, Indiana with her husband John. We're the very proud grandparents of 5, Marin, Quinn, Evan, Grant, and Bryn. Hey, pretty good. And we have one grand dog, Murphy, who's a golden doodle. I want to just, without getting off track for too long, I want to talk to you about 2 things. First of all, I think we should all congratulate all of our clerks who have worked diligently to make sure that this huge election comes to fruition. Brenda Heisler is in the audience. She deserves a round of applause, a hug, a pat on the back. I also want you to know I cannot speak for any other county, state, or any other municipality, but I can tell you that Calhoun County, the election is not rigged. I also want to talk to you about the straight party. You know that was in the courts for quite some time. We had everything prepared, but we had left a 3.5-inch gap at the top of the ballot to see exactly how the courts were going to rule. And as we know now, there will be a straight party arrow that you can fill in, either Democrat or Republican. And I use this as an example. Say, for instance, you would vote straight Democrat. Did you know that you could cross over and vote for Ann Norlander for County Clerk and Register of Deeds, and your vote would still count? So I just want everyone in the room to know there's 3 options for voting. I'm endorsed by the Farm Bureau, by Right to Life, by the Police Officers Association of Michigan, 108 city, township, and village elected officials. All of my municipal clerks, 19 townships, 4 cities, and 4 villages have given me their nod that they would like to see me stay for 4 more years. And I would like your vote and your support on November 8th to remain in office for 4 more years. I'll be happy to answer any of the questions that we were given at a later date, and it's nice to be with you tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christine Schauer, the Calhoun County Treasurer. I'm finishing my first term and seeking re-election to that office. I grew up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. I was raised by my parents. My father was an underground iron ore miner. My mother was a nurse. I received a bachelor's degree in office administration and management from Northern Michigan University and a master's degree in public administration from Western Michigan University. I am married to former Congressman Mark Schauer. I have 3 grown children and 5 grandchildren. And I can understand why Eusebio gets mixed up, because they start feeling like your own kids sometimes. 4 years ago, when I ran for Calhoun County Treasurer, I made a few promises. One of was to work hard to reduce the number of property tax foreclosures in our county. And we've done that. We've reduced property tax foreclosures by 40% since I've taken office. And more importantly, we have reduced owner-occupied tax foreclosures by nearly half in just the last year. We do this through offering payment plans, reduced interest payment plans, extra time to pay through a hardship extension, connecting people with programs that might help them, working with individuals as they come to our office having difficulties paying taxes. Another promise I made was to proactively use the Calhoun County Land Bank to help address neighborhood blight. And those of you who are from Albion know that there has been a large problem with blighted properties in some of the Albion neighborhoods. Over my term countywide, we've taken down about 170 houses in neighborhoods, and we have taken down 60 some in the city of Albion. So you can see per capita, we've done a lot in Albion City and this end of the county with the land bank. And I'm very proud to say we've just received a $3.8 million grant to continue this work in Calhoun County, and at least $750,000 of that will go to the city of Albion to continue to demolish those blighted houses that attract crime, our safety issues, and drag down other property values. The other thing I promised was to make the Office of the County Treasurer customer-friendly, more efficient, more effective. We have improved the ease of online payment for property taxes and buying dog licenses. We've provided real-time tax lookups. We've worked with the clerk's office and now record all of our thousands, and I mean thousands of documents that are recorded out of the treasurer's office electronically. We've created a culture within my office with my fabulous staff that's focused on going that extra mile for people, not just dealing with the issue at hand, but helping in whatever other way we can. I've pursued these goals in addition to fulfilling the statutory roles of the treasurer, of safeguarding all of the funds coming into the county, acting as the county's banker, the county's investment officer. We've been able to reduce our fees for banking services and for processing of credit cards. I'm a certified public funds investment manager and have methodically pursued an investment portfolio for the county to safeguard our principal while maximizing interest using the limited vehicles that are allowed for municipal investing. We've developed dozens of written procedures for everything we do on a daily basis, where when I started there were 0 written procedures. Serving has been an honor, and I am looking to continue these strides I've made with the Treasurer's Office. For Albion, again, I've written my responses, but a couple of the issues that I feel that the Treasurer and the County Land Bank are addressing are those of folks with reduced income, having trouble paying their taxes. We're working as hard as we can to help them keep their homes. We're improving neighborhoods. That's been a problem with neighborhood blight and commercial buildings downtown Albion as well, the land bank is involved with. So we have a lot of work to do, and that's why I'm running again and asking for your support on November 8th.
Thank you. I'd like to express my appreciation to the Michigan Education Association retired teachers for inviting me as well. My name is Joyce Spicer. I am a widow and a mother of 4 children. I have 3 sons, Wade, Timothy, Chuck, and Leslie. They all were raised in Albion, and they graduated from Albion High School, and they had some wonderful teachers, and very proud of what they accomplished, and they're been some productive citizens, and that's what we all strive and work for. I attended Kellogg Community College, and with a concentration in human resources and accounting. I was previously served as the first female chairperson of the American Foundermen Society, and very proud of that because it was tough with you guys. There was supposed to be a laughing time, and I also served on the Albion Public Schools Board of Education for 20 years, and I am an Athena Award recipient as well. I'm going to stick to the topic that we're supposed to introduce ourselves. I'm presently employed as a part-time financial assistant with Homestead Savings Bank. I serve as a director on the Albion Economic Development Corporation Board, Albion Community Foundation, YMCA, Battle Creek, and the Calhoun County Medical Care Facility Board. I'm a trustee and member of Bethel Baptist Church, and I assist in the music ministry, and I'm also the financial secretary there. I previously worked at Albion Healthcare Alliance, and I also worked at Harvard Industries. I started there as a switchboard operator when Corning's closed, telling my age, but anyway. and went there, and my last position there was Human Resources Director. I worked for the plant manager of that corporation for many, many, many years, and so can't seem to stay retired. I believe that I have the experience, that I have the passion, I have the compassion, and I would like to serve in trying to build a stronger Calhoun County for all its residents, all the people that need. I believe that we need to be representative of all the full constituency. And I believe that if you put your trust in me, that I will deliver for you. I am a person that you can trust, and I will give you information. If there's something I cannot do, you will know it. Because what I will say to you is that this is something that it's not legal, it's not a part of what the county is responsible for. Do we have really, really lots of problems that we all want to dump in one little bowl and put it there and say, well, we need to handle this, this, this? May not be the responsibility. But if you ask me that question, I guarantee you, you'll get an answer, because I'll find that answer for you. And I'm asking for your vote on November 8th because I want to help make Calhoun County even greater. I want to maintain Albion. I don't want us to lose anything else from Albion. And so I'm willing to work hard for the county residents. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening. My name is Gary Tompkins, and I'm a candidate for County Commissioner of the 7th District, which includes the townships of Lee, Clarence, Sheridan, Albion, Homer, Clarendon, and the city of Albion. Well, thank you, first of all, Vivian Davis. I certainly appreciate you inviting me this evening. It's great to be here and to speak. Well, first of all, a little bit about who I am. I'm a sixth-generation 7th District resident. My family settled in Albion in 1860, and we've been on the east side of the county ever since. I was born in Albion, raised in Homer. My dad was a graduate of Albion High, class of 1965. As Joyce talked about Hayes Albion Harvard Industries, that was actually touched my life. I've got my grandfather and father served 63 years, worked 63 years combined service at Hayes Albion Harvard Industries. So many of my young years was spent certainly in the Albion area, so it holds a special place in my heart. As I said, I was born in Albion, raised in Homer. I have 4 incredible children, Lauren, Rachel, Gary III, and Chip, which I absolutely adore, and it's such a privilege and honor to be a dad. I certainly regret that. It's a great thing. A little bit about my background. 30 years of combined experience in the public and private sector in cost and finance. I'm currently a 2016 fellow with the Michigan Political Leadership Program at Michigan State University. It's one of only 6 programs of its kind in the country that identifies, recruits, and trains future leaders of tomorrow, but it does it in a bipartisan manner. So we have 12 Republicans and 12 Democrats, and we go all over the state talking about issues from energy policy to, you name it, what we did. As a matter of fact, this past weekend, I was in Bay City. Speaking of Bay City, Mr. Lance there, as a matter of fact, toured the Michigan Sugar Company, and afterwards we talked about issues relative to, certainly trade, and we also attended, was able to tour the Karn plant, which is Consumers Energy, one of their coal-fired burning plants, and again, we talked about energy policy. So it's a great program to be part of, and I'm honored and privileged to be part of that. Also, too, I'm a member of the VFW Auxiliary in support of veterans. My father and grandfather served in the military, and it was my opportunity to give back, certainly, to our veterans. Well, folks, what I bring to the table as it relates to the county commissioner is a strong, principled, and effective voice, someone who's going to work for everybody in the 7th District, no matter where you live, because that is important. And there's 4 priorities, if you will, that I will ensure. First of all, ensure that the residents of the 7th District are heard and have a voice. I will ensure effective communication with local units of government and with the residents of the 7th District to ensure that you feel connected at the county level. We'll ensure accountability and transparency so our people are accountable for their actions and all aspects of government are open to the public. And then the 4th, the most important priority is that your priorities are the focus. You know, over the last 5 months, as I've knocked on over 1,200 doors, and over the last year, as I've attended city council, village council, and township meetings, all getting an understanding and listening to the concerns and the challenges that the residents of the 7th District have. And quite frankly, that's the only way that you're going to be able to do that, is by getting out and knocking on the doors and listening to people. And with that being said, it's abundantly clear this election isn't about me. This election is about you, your families, your communities, and your priorities. So if you're looking for somebody who has a proven track record of real leadership, real action, and real results. I would certainly appreciate your support and your vote November 8th, because together we can create a new direction and vision for the 7th District. And that vision includes everyone, no matter where you live, folks. Because always remember this, you folks in the 7th and the east side of the county, you are important and you deserve strong representation so that we will not be forgotten. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. My name is Christine Kosmowski, and I'm the Calhoun County Water Resources Commissioner, and I'm running for re-election. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in the Detroit area, and went and actually moved here about 36 years ago. I obtained my Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Health from Oakland University, and that had a water resource focus. And also I obtained my master's degree from Western Michigan University in earth science with a hydrogeology focus or a groundwater focus. I am married happily for 31 years to my husband Wayne, and we have two college-age daughters who are pursuing their dreams and are highly intelligent and are doing very well. I pursued those two degree programs because of my deep interest in water, and that is also why I ran for this office 4 years ago. I also have an extensive experience on the job. I moved to Calhoun County to work for the city of Battle Creek and worked for the city for over 32 years. I was first their chemist at the wastewater plant, and then I was the environmental programs coordinator for them. So I worked in a number of different areas of water for the city, both and have accomplished a number of things both in the technical way as well as in a non-technical way. For example, I was able to certify our laboratory for drinking water analysis. I was able to conduct a suspended solids study where we solved a major problem because of the study that I designed. I began the overall, it's now called the Crazy Kazoo River Cleanup Program that is now watershed-wide. I began that when I worked for the city of Battle Creek. Also, the Children's Water Festival, where we have 1,000 kids, 4th and 5th graders that come to Kellogg Community College and learn about water, both surface water and groundwater, so that they can understand that those waters are connected. What can happen on surface water can get into groundwater and vice versa. So when I came into office, I encountered quite a problem because of past fiscal mismanagement that needed to be addressed. Over 50% of the county drains in the county had prior maintenance work performed but had not been timely assessed. So it left the overall county drainage fund in a deficit. And a county fund cannot be in a deficit, and I was required to submit to the state of Michigan deficit elimination plans. And had I not done that, had I not corrected this situation, the county could have been affected negatively because of it. Potentially could have lost up to $3 million in state shared revenue funding. It could have lowered the county's credit rating, and it could have affected the county's ability to bond or borrow money. So we felt that was a needed step in our office. It was irresponsible by past commissioners, both Republican and Democrat alike, to not have addressed that and timely assessed those drains as they should have been. Another problem that I faced was how drain maintenance work had been done. Quite often, short-term cobbled-together solutions were taken so that now when work is done, it's more costly to do so. And an unprecedented amount of a certain type of project was waiting for me when I came into office and were underway. They're called petition projects. Those projects are mandated by state law, which is the drain code that dictates this, to have professional engineers as well as legal assistance when doing those. And so that was something also that I had to address when I came in. I am running for re-election because of my deep interest, passion, and concern for water. I think water resonates with all of us as Michigan residents. Many of us walk around with images of the Great Lakes on our T-shirts, on the back of our vehicles. We see, even on our license plates, we have the image of the Mackinac Bridge. I think those Great Lakes really, I think we hold them dear to our heart. And quite often we'll see billboards showing beautiful pictures of them, showing pure Michigan at its best. Well, in my opinion, we cannot have pure Michigan without pure Michigan water. And it depends on what we do in Calhoun County and how we manage and design our projects that can affect those waters. We have two major watersheds in Calhoun County. Well, actually, we have a very small part of the Grand River watershed in the northeast part of the county, but we have the St. Joseph River watershed and the Kalamazoo River watershed. And both of those major rivers flow into Lake Michigan, and what we put into it can affect those Great Lakes. So what I want to do in my second term is to continue to bring the office into the 21st century because of improvements I've been able to make. I want to make sure and to continue to have projects designed properly with water quality in mind, have them done legally, and also have them designed and functioning far into the future. And with that, I'd like to ask you for your support on November 8th. Thank you.
I'm Fred Heaton. I'm married to my wife Jan. We have a daughter, Sarah, that's attended Michigan State University, which is a CPA, a daughter or a son that lives with us at home, and a son-in-law, Alec. I'm here today to running for the water resource, of course, but my concern is cost. I've been to Ohio State for engineering courses, so I've learned a great deal with ag engineering. A lot of this office in the past, the majority of the office in the past, has been about agriculture. Today, it's still about agriculture, getting rid of our water, unnecessary overflow of water, floods. We do need to maintain that. We do need clean water as well. You take care of drains as needed. They will produce clean water as well. We do definitely need to monitor and keep an eye on what's going on. There's different programs that are available to help control runoff. And runoff is part of our major problem as far as pollution in these streams, these ditches. By controlling and taking care of the drains properly, we will control the runoff. And we've had 34 years working for the Drain Commission or Water Resources. I've worked with them very closely, helped them with projects, and I'm very well versed on what's out here in the country. The townships are talking to me. We got 15 townships that endorse us. These townships are endorsing me because of basically one reason: we need to control cost. I feel that with my experience and knowledge, I can control cost. I can control the way things are let out, bids are let out, and I would control the cost and engineering as well with bids on that. So with that, I would appreciate your support November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. Your average time was approximately 3 minutes. We almost went over, but it's 3.5 minutes in terms of introducing yourself. So we've used up the first hour. The next hour will be to give the audience the opportunity to ask questions up close and personal. Some of you, I hope to never see you, in the capacity in which you serve. But for this particular event, we will invite the audience to ask questions of you regarding your position, regarding your stance, regarding your responsibilities. So would someone like to begin? Yes.
I'd like to ask our candidates to the county commission if do you have any plans to fix the potholes?
Well, as I indicated, over the last 5 months, as I've knocked on 1,250 doors, and I'll tell you, that's the number one thing that comes out of people's mouths. Roads, potholes, what you're going to do. And one of the things that has to be addressed first and foremost within that county road department is responsiveness to people's concerns and getting things done. Right now, currently, based on people's concerns, it may take up to a period of 4 months before a person gets any response to their potential complaint or their concern. So my plan is, on day one, is getting down and talking with the county road department and getting to a point where we can develop a plan and a strategy so that when people call, there's a receptiveness and a responsiveness there, so that you will get those things done in an appropriate amount of time without having to take 4 months to get response and then having to go to 2 county commission meetings in order to get an answer. So we're going to reduce that time. We're going to develop a strong relationship, certainly with that road department, to ensure the fact that the residents are heard and have that voice, as I indicated, so that those things will get taken care of.
I believe that, first of all, that you have to look at the allocations of the funding, and you have to seek a way to find where there's more funding to repair the roads. Of course, that is one of the first choices when you ask people what's the problem. It's the roads. And then, but if you don't really know, when I'm listening to the watching the meetings on, I watch them on my little iPad. When you see that, I don't hear much said about the road conditions. So what I want to find out, I have to find out, what are we paying for? What do we have? Where is the money allocated? Because when I talked to the former commissioner that serves, he said that we have to repair our own roads. So we have to look at the cities and the actual townships. They have to be responsible for a greater portion of that. But I want to look at to see if we can reallocate, because our roads are in such bad condition. And when you leave Michigan and go into Indiana, you can automatically tell, if you don't know that you're leaving, how the situation of the road. So I think we need to investigate what is currently happening with road funding and why our roads have gotten to the point where they are, and get into a situation where we will get them repaired, and then we can get ourselves on a schedule where we consistently keep them in a better repair. I'm not going to say the best, but that's what I want to do. I can't do any of this alone, because there's 7 commissioners there, and I know if I can't convince 3 other people to vote with me, then I'm not going to be able to do anything. But what I will be able to do is come back to you and tell you that this is what is happening. This is why the funding, and it's being shared. It's being spread over this greater, whatever, all of these roads, all this infrastructure. We have to share that pot of money. And how is it being divvied up? I can tell you those answers. I can't guarantee you that I can make a change, but I can fight for a change for you. That's what I'll do.
My question for Kosmowski is, when you assess a township and they can't fix their own roads because all their money's gone for 5 years from one of your assessments, how are they supposed to help out their own township?
We have 500 county drains in the county. 350 of them are active. 190 of those drains had previous maintenance work done. So that what the townships are experiencing is primarily based on irresponsibility from the past. There is no other pot of money that goes towards paying for drains. Drains are not paid for out of the general fund, only in the sense that the county at large also gets an assessment. How drains are assessed are based on the watershed of the drain, and that is the special assessment district for the drain. And that is infrastructure that we have throughout the entire county. Now, because there was this artificial sense, especially if you've had maintenance work done and you've never seen a bill, you probably have a sense that this is great. We don't ever have to pay for it. And if there were a magic pot of money, that would be wonderful to address this work, past work that had been done. But there wasn't. And because of the dire situation of this deficit in the county drainage fund, there was no way to go but forward. Now, it was unfortunate for the townships, unfortunate for the county, all county residents. Had it not been addressed, townships would have had a limited ability to also bond or borrow money. And also, it would have affected the county treasurer. So this was a very serious situation that had to be addressed. And I think that is the nature of the discord that the townships have experienced. I did meet with all the townships when I knew about this situation to try to explain that to them. But again, there was no way to go but forward. We peaked with those assessments in 2015. We're already seeing those numbers come down quite dramatically in many cases. So it's a unique situation. These are, I liken them to stormwater utilities. In a municipality, for example, in the city of Battle Creek, Marshall, or Albion, people there pay monthly for water and sewer. With a county drain, you pay every so often as the work occurs. One is not given a monthly bill, but it is a bill, a one-time bill or charge that appears on taxes. It's not a tax, it's an assessment.
But when you load a township to the point where they cannot do anything for themselves for 5 years, that is not right.
There are some townships, one township in particular has the highest number of drains in the entire county. They have 43.
You can't get them all at once.
Answer the question.
I know she's a Democrat and you're a Democrat,
Let her answer the
but
question.
I want to say that you can't load them completely.
I think it was irresponsible of my predecessors to not have timely assessed as they should have done. So that it would not have been a crisis situation that I came into as anyone would have come into coming into office in 2013. There was no way to go but forward. As I mentioned, had I not, the county could have lost 25% of their state shared revenue sharing per month at the rate of $750,000 per year. If left unaddressed, as had been done in the past, that could have been up to $3 million
So you
lost to the county.
You sacrificed Clarence Township.
I didn't sacrifice, and I met with them, and again, this would have affected all county residents and townships had it not been addressed. It was very unfortunate for anyone who would have come into office. They would have had to have dealt with it.
I would
All
call
right.
it more than unfortunate.
Okay, we would like to thank you for your questions. Are there other questions that we would like to ask any of the other candidates? Okay, yes.
And my name is Teresa Tully, and I'm just, I'm from Battle Creek, and I'm just curious, a lot of the races that we're seeing for state representative and other races are turning very negative. And I'm just curious about what those running for state representative and other races, if you want to fill these races and you want to serve in these positions, could you take a few minutes, please, and tell us some positive things about your opponent that haven't already been mentioned in their own personal bios?
Are you addressing this to Dr.
Specifically
Bison?
to Dr. Bison and Mr. Hotma, please.
Okay. Would you like to answer?
Obviously, Mr. Hodsma has had a long-standing relationship with his children, and he continues that relationship even to this day. He's obviously well educated.
She wants you to speak up, Doctor. No, she doesn't need you to stand up, speak louder, I guess.
Speak louder, that's all.
Got it. And, you know, he's very well educated. He's been a lawyer in town for a number of years already, and, you know, I had a great deal of respect for him, in spite of the comments. It was
I'm trying to think of what else I could say. Give me a second. Jim, do you want to go for a second? And if you want, I can return. Sure.
Dr. Bison has answered in relation to my family. His consultant has attacked my children and my former wife. And
That's not what this was about. That's not what this was say something nice about your opponent.
I'm going to do that. Thank you. I appreciate that he's pointing out something favorable about my relationship to my family. However, I discourage any further attacks on my children or upon my former wife. Dr. Bison is an otolaryngologist in our community. I don't know much about Dr. Bison other than he's an ear, nose, throat doctor. I don't know much about Dr. Bison because, quite candidly, he wasn't around, involved in our community before 2014 when he decided he would run for State House. I think it's very important that people, before they advance to run for State House, do some work in a city commission context, in a township trustee context, or a county board context.
No, you're still attacking him.
Thank you, ma'am. I am not attacking him.
Yes, you are. You're saying you don't have the history, you don't have the, say something
Can
nice
you,
about it.
excuse me, let's let him finish, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Davis, I appreciate you intervening. All I know is that he's an otolaryngologist in Battle Creek, and we never saw him before in our civic affairs until 2014. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Dr. Bison. You were talking about education and the money that's going into education. I have a mentally handicapped son, presently I have a mentally handicapped son. And we wonder, is there anything happening in a positive sense for the special education kids and people as adults? There's very little out there for adults.
We're pouring record amounts of dollars. We are pouring record dollar amounts into the education system. We are concerned with special education. Right now they get a special allotment, and that allotment is increasing on an annual basis. Our special needs children have increased requirements, and throughout the state funding formula they get excess dollars that are given to many of the school districts. Outside of funding, we are encouraging the use of special tutors to make sure that the elementary and particularly the preschool and grades 1, 2, and 3 have the training that they need to be able to read prior to the 3rd grade, because we know that that 3rd grade reading is ever so important. We have asked that some of our most experienced teachers, when we don't have enough teachers, consider going back, and made it possible for them to do that, as I said, without the risk of putting their pensions at risk. And I'm hoping that we're going to get very well-trained and educated people to be helping our children.
I did want to say that my son went to Albion for some of his special education years. He had Mrs. Shoesmith and, I can't remember, but they were excellent. They were excellent. He was very happy. He came home happy every day. He learned things, and it was a good experience for all of us.
Oh, thank you. Mrs. Spicer.
I just wanted to add, have you ever talked to the people at Summit Point?
Yes, we are involved in Summit Point.
Okay. Do we have other questions? If not, maybe what we can do is give you one last chance to say something that you didn't get a chance to say in no more than 2 minutes. Would you like to do that, or are you Would you like to have one closing thought to leave the audience? Okay.
Vivian? I got
Yes.
a comment.
Okay.
Many of you that are sitting here was supported by Farm Bureau. And just for your own information, the reason that some of you were supported by Farm Bureau is because you had 100% voting record for farms. And I come from an agricultural background. My family has 2 centennial farms in this area. And it's been very frustrating for farms this last year. You know, we really need the help of the elected officials. That's a very important thing. And I just want you to remember the agricultural community, because we feed the world, and without your help and without your support, we're not going to be able to do that much longer. We have, and the other thing I want you to remember is that you're sitting in Sheridan Township. I want you to remember that this isn't about just the cities, this is about the townships. This is about some of the things that the townships have to endure, not only, you know, in the school systems, but some of the things that, you know, they have to, you know, endure through the year. So I just want you to, you know, keep in mind that when you're representing the people, you're representing all the people, and that you're representing the townships. So, I mean, other than that, you know, I don't have much to say, but I do appreciate some of the candidates, Dr. Bison and Ann Norlander, and some of you other candidates that have given agriculture 100% voting record. We do appreciate it.
Yes.
Christine, right?
Yes.
Is there an option other than tearing down blighted buildings?
Sometimes there is, but most of the properties that come into the possession of the Calhoun County Land Bank are, they may have been through the foreclosure process multiple times. They've been stripped out of, you know, no furnace, no hot water heater, no pipes. There's probably big holes in the roofs. The cost to rehabilitate them is prohibitive, and you know there are just not investors who would take it on. There are some that are not so far gone, and the Land Bank has initiated a program where they work with folks who want to put in sweat equity and buy it at a very low price with a plan to rehabilitate it and either live in it or, you know, bring it up to a level where it could be rented out. So unfortunately, a lot of them are too far gone, and the only solution is demolition or having it sit there and get worse and worse. So.
Okay, a follow-up question to that. What happens to the properties once the home has been demolished?
Well, our absolute first choice with that, when it can work out, is that an adjacent property owner buys it as a side lot or, you know, is able to enlarge their yard, maybe build a garage or have a garden. And obviously then it goes back on the tax rolls. And those lots are typically sold for $200 plus whatever the recording fee is. So that's our very first option with lots where there have been houses demolished. And many times when you look at those lots after the house is down, you know, you think, how did a house even fit there? Because, you know, the standards, many of them are not even buildable lots anymore by today's standards. If we can't do that solution, you know, there are some instances where community groups adopt lots or, you know, have community gardens, or we use kind of creative plantings so that it
beautifies the neighborhood. Detroit Future Cities is exploring a lot of those things, and so we're trying to replicate some of that, or work with the neighborhood associations or the cities, the neighborhoods, to get their input onto what they'd like to see. In fact, as county treasurer, we foreclosed on the old Dalrymple School. This year. I mean, it's been an eyesore for many, many years, but it just now has come into public ownership. That will likely pass to the land bank after my second auction, which takes place at the end of this month. There are going to be at least one and possibly more community meetings around what would folks like to see happen there. Obviously, the first thing will be finding funds to be able to demolish that building, because there's no other solution for that one. But, you know, it's a problem. It is a problem, but we're in it with you as the land bank and the treasurer, and you know, we know it's not pleasant to see all these houses, especially some of them historic houses that were just beautiful in their day, coming down. But sometimes you just can't avoid it.
All right.
Vivian?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just because I have 2 Centennial Farms, I'm just kind of curious, you talked about the drain taxes. Do you know if there's any Centennial Farms that are in bankruptcy and have to sell their property because of some of the taxes that they've incurred? Either Fred or?
I don't know of any.
I don't know of any that have to sell their farm. I don't know personally anybody that has to sell their farm. I know there's been some incredible charges against them as far as petition work, but as far as for sale, no, not right now.
And would there be any help for them if they had to do that to the drain office?
The drain office, no. And again, when a petition project comes in, it's not generated by our office. Petition is generated by the public. So there are a couple of mechanisms that's done. One can, and it depends on the type of petition project, whether it's a new drain or an established one, or what aspect of work is being required. But it can either be submitted by a village, township, a village or a township, or the county on behalf of the county roads, or by property owners. So it's work that comes into the office. And but if there is an issue in regards to paying for an assessment, an appeal can be made to the township for a hardship case. That is the mechanism. That one would have
That would
to
be
go.
up to the township as to whether they could grant
And
that.
if they qualified.
Thank you, Vivian.
I'd like to ask Fran, is there anybody in the Centennial Farm that may have to sell part of their land to pay for that?
There's one case on 19 Mile Road in Android that is very close to that. It's a Centennial Farm, people retired. Had a $27,000 assessment. One down by Homer by us, $47,000 assessment. That's one of the reasons I'm running for office, is because of this. What Christine said on her behalf, if you want something nice about an opponent, I've got. She was dealt a handful of stuff, let's put it that way, because the past people did not take care of business. But, and this is a but the petition processes that are going on now have been so extremely outrageously overpriced and over-engineered that is what I call criminal. But she was dealt with a mess to start in, but the petition projects she took over have been extremely overpriced, and that's all I will say.
I would like to comment on that, please. the petition projects are more costly. The prices that there are a couple of issues with that. What I have encountered here is akin to what other counties pay for petition projects. These are not, we are not some blip here in Calhoun County in comparison to other counties. What I've discovered though, the majority of the petition projects that that were in place and were ongoing when I came into office already. What I have since, and what I do now, the policy in our office is if someone wants a petition, because they are triggering the drain code process when they do that, they have to meet with me first. No one gets a petition. I don't know how it was done in the past, but now what they do is they come into the office, we look at the district, we look at what potential costs could be, and before, so that they are proceeding with both eyes open in regards to that petition process. What I've also discovered is, because I've had legal review done of the drains in our files, as a matter of fact, some of these drains go back into the 1860s. We even found one that was written on a scroll because they were so interested. This was in the 1860s that a drain was petitioned. But how my predecessors had handled these petition projects in the past, they were not also handled legally or properly. They were established as individual drains when in fact they were part of a bigger drain. Or the size of the district is so small, you cannot feasibly do work economically in those systems. One of those drains, there were only eight parcels in a drain. You can't, that is not a sustainable model. So the opportunity to look at possibly consolidating that drain into a larger district, especially if it's a tributary to another, those are ways to avoid those kinds of things moving forward. So again, I had an unprecedented amount of those petition projects in place when I came into office. Most counties, it's rare that they have a couple of petition projects a year, perhaps with the exception of Ingham County or Washtenaw or Oakland County over in the Detroit area. I had 12 petition projects underway when I came into office.
Could I ask a question?
Mrs. Lark. And then you.
All right.
I don't want to leave you tonight with you just thinking that our office is just about elections, because it isn't. It's a massive operation that we have. Report to the circuit court, report to the board of commissioners. We have, just very quickly, my vision when I came into office 28 years ago was a virtual office, and it is that today. And I would like you, if you have a piece of paper, to write down the Calhoun County Clerk's webpage. It's co.calhoun.mi.us. And on election night, if you go to go to our webpage, go to elections, you will find Election Magic. When I first took office, we brought sleeping bags and a toaster because we were there all night. It took 20 people to do the returns. We're down to 3 people now. We have real-time results because of Election Magic and working with the programmers that we did using our campus. It's a program we're very, very proud of. If you're on there, you can get real-time results on election night, and you can also go to other counties that have Election Magic, for instance, Branch does, and get their results. So I just wanted you to be aware of that for election night. So we prefer not to have phone calls coming in from either candidates or the public. We've got a job to do there. And our elections director, Terry Lowe, is, in my opinion, one of the best in the state. If you've ever run for office or been a part of our office, she's extraordinary. So I just wanted to tell you real quickly, if you would be patient with me, some of the statistics for 2015, because 2016 were not complete. We did 1,628 birth certificates, 1,409 death certificates, 972 marriage licenses, 628 doing business under an assumed name. New CPLs in 2015 were totaled 895. Renewals totaled 1,032. We recorded 25,375 documents that totaled 84,416 pages. Our circuit court cases, we had 3,752. We also do all the personal protection orders. We had 638 last year of violations of abuse. PPOs were granted 390, and we had 68 violations where the gentleman, on occasion a woman, had to go see the judge to go to jail, hopefully. Those are just some of the things that we do in our office, and I also want you to know, if you haven't voted, you can still go to your municipal clerk's office on November 7th by 4 p.m. and file your an absent voter ballot. We're not here to disenfranchise anyone. We're here to run a clean, non-rigged election in Calhoun County, and we do not certify it until every vote is accounted for. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question, and I was not put up to this by anybody, but I am interested in hearing from both the prosecutor and Mr. Solis about whether they have an opinion about whether the position of prosecuting attorney is primarily to be a prosecutor in the trial attorney sense, or is it more of an administrative position? And maybe could somebody bring the microphone over so that people who are watching on TV could hear what they have to say?
Thank you.
As prosecutor, I do like to get into the courtroom. I was, I don't want to say born and raised a trial attorney, but I've been doing trials since 1988. And I don't want to say they're fun, but they're very important when you're talking about criminal law. However, the prosecutor's office is the largest law office in our county. We've got over 14 attorneys serving our county. I've got a lot of good attorneys that actually do a lot of work and a lot of trials. I try to get into the courtroom, but I've only been able to do maybe one trial a year since I took office, basically because of all the other things I've got to do. I administer an office. I belong to an awful lot of boards and a lot of different committees. I'm on the criminal law section board. Before I forget, when we're talking about the legislature, the criminal law section is one of the largest sections in the State Bar of Michigan. We're made up of prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges who deal with criminal law every single day. And one of the things we do is we actually make recommendations to the legislature regarding laws and proposed legislation. And Dr. Baizon and Mr. Maturin actually call my office, I don't want to say on a regular basis, but very often regarding criminal law. As far as the prosecutor's job is concerned, the elected prosecutor, I'm more than just a trial attorney. I have other duties. I have to run an office. I belong to an awful lot of different committees that take up a lot of my day. In order to do a trial docket, you have to know that you can be in trial on a given day. And in our court system, particularly in felony court system, the courts call trials in on given days. You don't necessarily know within 2 weeks as to when you're going to be going to trial. They give you 24 to 48-hour notice. So as far as a regular docket is concerned, there's no way the elected prosecutor can have a criminal docket if they're actually doing their job as the elected prosecutor.
So the question was, do I think it's strictly
Is it primarily administrative or primarily?
Okay, so, as I practice throughout the state and various counties set it up differently. There are some counties, for instance, like Kalamazoo and Jackson, where the prosecutor is strictly just an administrator, never leaves his office, and never enters into the courtroom. I think the prosecutor should be a combination of both. I think the courtroom is just simply too important to not appear in. And I don't believe that you have to pick one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive. If you manage your time, I also belong to a lot of boards and have a lot of extracurricular activities that I'm involved in when I serve the public. But I think if you're organized, that both can be done. They're not mutually exclusive. And I've done all the administration work within that office. I know I can do both. I have done both. The courtroom, as I indicated, is just simply too important to leave out of your schedule. As I indicated earlier during my introduction, It's in the courtroom where victims begin to heal often. You have to understand that victims come to the court under sometimes some of the most horrific circumstances. You can't allow that or delegate all of that to those who serve under you. You have to develop that relationship. And then another important group of folks is law enforcement. In the courtroom, in the trenches, trying cases side by side, when they see your work, that is where you gain their trust. And there will be a time when there is a disagreement between the prosecutor and law enforcement. And you can draw upon that experience and they will give you the benefit of the doubt. That's why it's important to be in the courtroom. I can do both, and I ask for your support to allow me to. Thank you.
Just real quick, as long as the mic is close to me.
Don't give up.
That's right. I just wanted to let each of you know that we have 195 excellent employees at the Sheriff's Office, men and women that get up on a daily basis and go work in the jail or go work in the law enforcement division or our clerical staff that do an outstanding job for the Sheriff's Office and for each and every one of you as citizens of Calhoun County. I thank them on a daily basis for their service to the county, and I am proud that both the Supervisors Union and the Non-Supervisors Union at the Sheriff's Office have endorsed my candidacy for re-election to serve another 4 years as their sheriff, to serve with them side by side and continuing being your sheriff. I'm not one to pat myself on the back. I'm not a politician, but I know I've done a good job as your sheriff the last 4 years. I know I will continue to do that the next 4 years with your vote on November 8th to re-elect Matt Saxton. Thank you. I'll keep this.
For a minute.
I neglected to tell you about a very interesting group that we have, and it's called Sisters Influencing Society. And I have one of the mentors here that I would like for her to stand up and tell you. These are retired teachers that help us with kids that are in the middle school, high school, and that we teach them, we mentor them, and we meet with them twice a month. And so I'd like to ask Ms. Eddie Williams if she would. She's one of our most dedicated mentors. So.
Sisters Influencing Society, a group of mentors who work diligently with mentees to help them, to influence them to participate in society in an appropriate fashion. Mrs. Spicer has been the leader of that group for forever, since its endurance. And I have been a member of the group, and I have worked diligently. I try to work diligently with the young ladies who come under my influence. They are powerful ladies who don't always know that they're powerful young ladies, and so they need some encouragement, they need some continual support, and so we do that. This coming Wednesday, we're going to be at the Hub, a new facility in town, and we're going to be cooking and tasting, and we're going to be influencing them in any way we can to help them to progress in any way that they can progress. So we are very, very proud of our program. We're very, very pleased that Mrs. Spicer has been our leader and has been continually working with these young ladies. We've had students who've gone on to college. As a matter of fact, the first group we worked with them, every one of them went on to college. We provided college tours for them. We just tried to influence them in any way we could for as long as we can. So we are just very, very proud of this program, and we hope that it will continue. We hope to have the continued support of Mrs. Spicer forever and a day. Thank you.
Say that to get accolades. What I said that for is that we
but when you have retired teachers that will help you in those endeavors, I couldn't do it alone.
So we have people within our community, retired Dr. Daly. Most of you know Dr. Miriam Daly. She was one of our mentors for a long time. She's moved away now. So anybody that's interested in helping young people, if you're willing to help, we'll take any talent that we can get, any help at all. Thank you very much.
So I just want to take a moment to elaborate a little bit about your question, sir, that you had originally asked, and then also Ms. Frederick, elaborate a little bit on what you said as well. You know, roads being the very biggest issue. I mean, the doors that I knocked on, that was the first thing that came out of everybody's mouth was roads. That's the only thing that they want to talk about at this point in time. You know, with that being said, we talk about how townships and the struggles that rural townships have in terms of being able to pay for even the basic necessities and don't have the money and resources to be able to pay for even a very small portion of what their roads are. Let me give you an example. You got a rural township that even if they put a 1 mil assessment or even passed a 1 millage tax, would only generate $41,000 of money in that particular year. Now, one rural township that I talked to just recently got a quote from the county department and stated it would take $324,000 to redo 1 mile of road. Now, what that tells you is it's going to take 8 years for that township to generate the funds to do even 1 mile of road. So if that township has 45, 50, 60 miles of roads, what does that tell you? Now, granted, some of them are primary, but a majority of them are local. So they'll never able to address those crumbling issues, those crumbling activities. You know, as I've talked to those folks, as I knocked on the doors, the people with run over the potholes and paying thousands of dollars to repair their vehicles. I've talked to farmers who have their expensive equipment, who farmers are a backbone of our 7th district and what we are on the east side. And not even from trimming the trees to the potholes and the massive damage that our farmers are even incurring in terms of their equipment. You know, what I'll say certainly to the state for the candidates, Act 51 doesn't go far enough, especially as it relates to roads, and I think you folks know that. I know the head of the MDOT right now is floating a plan out there where it'll actually increase what Act 51 can actually pay for, which would include bridges as well, and local roads, which is much needed. But I will tell you, if you're on the east side of the county and you're in a rural township, you have no hope, because I've driven down the roads where nobody else, none of the candidates have went, and I can tell you firsthand that I've had to drive literally outside of the road, in the ditch, out around to avoid the potholes. And these are the stories that they may tell you stories, but this is the reality of the 7th district and the rural townships on the east side of the county. You know, and in doing those 1,250 doors, as I've talked and I told you about the roads that I go down that candidates don't go down. I had an interesting 2 months ago. I had a conversation with a lady in Lee Township up to the north, and I spent 3 minutes with her, knocked on her door, and just talked to her for a little bit, and she said, thank you. And I said, thank you for what? I just spent 3 minutes with you. And she said, you know what? I've lived here for 50 years, and no candidate has ever come to knock on my door, so thank you very much. And those are the kind of relationships that I'm building, not only whether you live in the city or whether you live in the townships. Those are the kind of relationships that I want the residents to understand is I'm willing to go where no other candidate is willing to go. I'm willing to go down those roads and drive those roads, and I'm willing to advocate and work hard to try to get these things changes. And that is working with certainly our legislature to make sure that Act 51 is changed to give rural townships the ability to do things that they wouldn't do. Because I can tell you one thing, every door that I knocked on, you don't want to bring up increase in taxes because they want to know what's happened for the last 30 years and why their roads haven't been fixed for the last 30 years. So it's a problem. Is it something that's going to be fixed tomorrow? But you've got to have someone who has a strong voice and will be a strong advocate for you and will not take no for an answer and it's simply it's not our problem. It is our problem. It is everybody's problem. And you know what? When you're spending those thousands of dollars getting those repairs on the front end of your vehicle, tires blown, we're lucky that nobody has perished, certainly in accidents and certainly on this side of the county. But it's something that has to be done. It's something that has to be addressed. You know, it doesn't matter. I've been up to Baseline Road to the north, way up in Lee Township to the north, South County Line Road in Clarendon Township to the south, and every point's in between, because it's important. Because when I say that I will work for you no matter where you live, I truly mean it. I don't care if you live in the city of Albion or if you live in any township in the 7th district. You folks are important, and for a change, I want to be a servant, someone who's going to sit and listen to your priorities. I can sit up here all day and tell you what I think should happen. I think we should do this or that. It isn't about me. As I told you, This election is different. This is about you and your priorities. So I will hope to have the opportunity to serve in the capacity where I can sit down with you and have those conversations so I can be an advocate for what you want, because it isn't about me. I'm just simply going to be a servant and a leg, and certainly that branch to the county government level. But I just think it's important to note that rural townships in the current situation and condition that exists will never able to take care of their roads. It just simply isn't. But when it comes to potholes, even the basic things, we can get some of those things done. It's just going to take that strong voice that is going to ensure, because I'm going to one that's going to take no for an answer. It's not going to happen. It has to happen. You deserve it. The east side of the county, we pay taxes just like everybody else does in Calhoun County, and you deserve that. So therefore, I'm going to advocate for you. Hopefully, I'll have your vote November 8th, and I certainly appreciate it. But again, I thought that was it. We had to address those issues because, like I said, people, residents, and farmers are spending way too much money on repairs just simply for the fact is because the roads aren't passable. And I know many people share in that same passion as well. Thank you very much.
I don't go knock on doors in rural townships, and you may understand why. Because what my plan was that I would go to the township halls and meet with the residents, and that would be an opportunity for me. I am a widow, older person, and I'm not going to go out and I hope you guys understand that I am not going out there knocking on doors, because I did a couple of times and I was turned away. And, and some people didn't open the door and they were home. So I plan to go to the township halls where they have their meetings and invite people to come and meet with me, and we'll hear and talk to you. But no, I didn't knock on doors, and I'm honest about that, and I hope you understand what I'm saying when I say that. Thank you very much.
As we near our closing, would anyone else like to have some final thoughts to leave us?
I'll try to be as brief as I can and clear and almost fast. Thanks, first of all, to Vivian, the association, the recorder, everyone in the audience for being patient with us, and all my fellow candidates. In particular, thanks to Clerk Norlander for her part in making sure that all of us know all three of the options we have on ways to vote for the partisan offices, although there are, of course, nonpartisan offices on the ballot as well, as I'm sure our judge candidates would like to be reminded as well. And there's also ballot questions. I'll let you get home to your families. I'm getting home to my wife of 5 years and my daughter of 2 years. We had to vote emergency absentee ballot because we were in the hospital on election day in 2014. But I do thank you. I do hope that those of you who are in the 63rd district will consider voting for me on or before November 8th.
Thank you. We won't necessarily go one by one, but if you want to have a few final words, then of course you can do so.
I realize as Johnny Cash is filming this, and I'm the only one. I'm happily married to my wife Karen, and I've got two kids. One just graduated from college, the other one just starting.
Maybe we better give him
I really
that.
want to say I am very happily married. She's a wonderful woman to cook with me, and I want to thank the Farm Bureau for the endorsement.
You better say it out loud.
That's Karen with a K.
Thank
I
you.
reminded him of that.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got to say one thing for Matt Saxton. I went to Homer High School. His dad was correctional officer there, otherwise principal.
Oh, okay.
And years and years ago, when I was much younger, I want to say that his dad gave me minor correction. But I understand why Matt is the outstanding citizen that he is, because his wonderful family. I've known him forever. So I know all of you have great families as well, but Matt's dad is a great guy, still is, always will be in my heart.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to explore options to attract businesses, prepare workers, fix our roads, and aid our seniors and youth, because I don't think if we don't do something, if we keep adding additional burdens on the people that are on fixed incomes, but We have to attract business, we have to bring businesses, and we have to have workers that are prepared, they're job ready. And I would like to explore those options, and I hope that the county will take that initiative on more so than what they've been doing, because I think, and I don't live in Albion C, I live in Albion Township, so I'm a township resident as well.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, we have been here for about 2 hours now. We would like to say thank you for sharing your thoughts and your expertise with us, as well as your aspirations. We are going to, you will see yourself again. Thank you to the audience for coming and for your questions and involvement. And even okay, you want to say it? Even though we have a small number of 25 or 30 people, those 25 or 30 people know many, many more people. So the word will spread regarding your aspirations, regarding your platform, and your vision for Calhoun County. Again, thank you, and if there is no further comments.
I want to say something that you may not hear very often. Okay. I like politicians. And I know that the vast majority of candidates run because they want to serve the public. So I thank you for running.
Thank you.
I want to recognize Jim Youngdahl, who's been here, and he's a candidate for Sheridan Township trustee. Jim. And I also want to say that I reflected on Teresa Tolley's question, and I think that there are common denominators that Dr. Bison and I do have. One is we're both friends of Ms. Tolley and her husband Arthur, and two, both Dr. Bison and I have children who are either attending or have graduated from Albion College.
Albion College. And for Mr. Youngdahl, I use the county register to invite candidates, and I'm not exactly sure how that works, but that's how these people were here. So maybe we'll make it up to you. But thank you very much and have a good evening. Right.
AccessVision, your voice, your community.